Welcome to Lucid Dreaming in the Cube of Space with the Alchemical Cabala. This week, we come to our final letter in the Hebrew Aleph Bet. This is the final letter of Mem, which means waters in Hebrew. These are the waters from which all come forth into manifestation. So, Mem is called the mother letter of water. And in alchemy, this is sometimes called the prima materia, or the first matter. Could someone please unmute yourselves and just read this quote for the group?
The wise man realizes that his life does not depend upon material things, neither on people, places, or possessions, but that his sole support is the ultimate reality of that above. Jewels of the Wise, page 111.
Thank you, Michael. Excellent. That's a really profound quote. Um, Worth your contemplation this week, working with the final letter Mem and the suspended man. In the Book of Formation, Mem is called the stable intelligence. Its function in the major arcana is reversal. It's where we start to remember the call of the self within. And increasingly, we are turning our attention more away from what we call the world and back inwards towards our source, reconnecting with this source of being sometimes is called the way. Key 12 shows us the surrender and trust to that of the real creator. And we're surrendering and trusting in this real being, not belief systems of the world, no matter what those belief systems are. Speaking of the world, it's interesting that in the English language, there's one letter difference between word and world. The world key and suspended man share the very center of the cube of space. So, we're going to use this combination as our group focus for the final letter study in the cube of space. It's said of the path of Mem that this path restores the creator to the throne.
Okay.
So, everyone center in your own core self. Take deep, relaxed breaths and give your full attention to the images before you. And whenever you're ready, just please unmute yourselves one at a time and just share what speaks to you, what occurs to you. This combination. These are the letters at the center of the cube of space.
The suspended man is in direct opposite to the world key. It would seem the way it is right there.
Mm.
And just thinking out loud and kind of thinking of also the the teacher key. But to Rachel's point, or along those lines, I was just kind of imagining like if you rotate the suspended man and put him upright and kind of mapped onto the world, looking at the figure there, one of them has, so the suspended man has the hands behind their back, and so just kind of imagine like the hands being together, and then with the world key, they have their hands open again, holding on to the two um, spirals, right? This the was the involution and evolution, right? This is touched on, and so that whole it's like almost sorts of completion because like that whole thing makes me think of the two what I don't know abbots whatever the teacher key where one has their hands together in prayer and one has their hands open and receiving and that whole thing of devotion and receptivity is kind of just what kind of comes up. Um, but especially in relation to these two keys, it's the I guess the play on it is surrender and you could say involvement, activity, co-creating, engaged, like whatever may be for the world key, but just that kind of contrast where one is just a complete surrender to all, and the world key is very much kind of open to receiving and things we touched on in regards to the grace, the gift, the service, the however we interpret it be receptive and open and engaged versus, you know, repose, I guess maybe a word for it. But yeah, so just that's what's kind of coming up right now.
Cool. Thank you.
I was going to say, as above, so below, with these two cards. And to me, the bottom, they both have doorways into consciousness. So for me, the bottom one is like meditation, and the top one is kind of what we create in the world using our word and our power. Um, yeah, that's about it.
Nice. Thank you.
Small little quick note. I actually just did. I don't think I've ever noticed before, but the the rope around the ankle of the suspended man is white. And just again, the thought of the Kether, divinity, grace, God, universe, all that. Just that there's more there, but I'll just wanted to point that out because it's a really never noticed that before. Interesting.
The hair too.
Hmm. Yeah, the hair. Yeah, yeah. It's just that. Yeah, there's definitely.
The suspended man's um, shirt that he has on looks like the stars and the sky and the whole, space to me, in contrast again to above the world in the world key, the cosmos of the suspended man.
I kind of want to explore the fire and water pattern here. The suspended man has that rigid sort of form where the world is a much more loose. The world key is much more loose and sort of like a very opposite in form, but yet they're doing sort of the same thing.
Mhm.
There's a play between the masculine and the feminine,
Yeah.
fire, water. There's such a balance of opposites between these keys in almost all ways possible. It's like this is the creative union at the center of the cube here. Somehow maybe the purple symbol around the world key figure purple being a mix of red and blue, fire and water, is like form, or has to do with form or birthing of form.
Hmm.
Something wondering about.
Good. You talk about the fire. What's not obvious to many is both figures are in their body expressing the alchemical symbol of sulfur, which is fire. So you see like this triangle and then the cross beneath it. A triangle with a cross beneath it is the alchemical sign of sulfur. You see the same thing in the suspended man, but it's inverted. So you see the fire going down into the water, waters of the mind. See the cross and then the triangle. These are the sort of things that speak directly to our subconscious that the alchemists and the ones who gifted us these keys and tools they put so much into each of the formulas. But that's just words for the mind because the mind doesn't know what to do with that, which is fine. What these two keys, one thing they really bring us to is presence. Presence at the core of you, of your being, of that is you. When the mind is stilled, like in the suspended band, and completely all the chatter of the mass mind is just settled. It's in these moments the presence becomes palpable and starts to move and flow and move in ways that only self can move. And then we can identify more with this being that's dancing in the world. That is our presence that's doing all of this. It's just teaching us.
This may be reaching, but I see the world key, involution and evolution he's holding, right? And to me, the suspended man looks like he could wind like a top and hang from that rope and just spin like really fast. And
Hmm.
like the way his body is all tight and everything, like, like a gymnast, he's very holding. And if he actually began to spin, he would spin really fast. To me, the spinning is, representative of the Kundalini in both, but just different. One is in the world, and the other one may be, in a different dimension, or spinning down into that different or up into that different dimension, the fourth plane or something. I don't know. He
Yeah,
looks
no, I
so.
like where you're going with that. Yes.
Doesn't he look
Yes.
like a top? Like you could just spin him and
Yeah.
he would
Yeah.
go forever.
I see it. Right. I see it. Yes. And it's also kind of like a cocoon. This womb that he's hanging in within, being dissolved back into the center.
And when he spins that, the illumination coming from the holiness from his head and the hair, and it's just like the sun, very much. And then the love, the grass on either side, is the love that's pushing off from it. From all that energy is all that love right there to the right and left of him, the suspended man.
The letters of each kind of look like the opposite card.
Yes. Good
And
pickup.
and the blue is kind of in this similar
Mhm.
feel or
Yeah.
shape. I think.
And the letter that the suspended man's hanging from is the letter Tav, which is the letter of the world key. See that shape there? It's the exact same shape as
Hmm.
this.
It's as if the suspended man is remembering the world key.
Interesting. Certainly it's certainly, he's contained within that, right? Within that center.
Hmm. It's like that's the image uh, that is being held there, illuminating.
Yes. 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 Yes.
What does that symbol mean around the world key figure again? I know we've gone through this, but
The oval?
no, the letter, the Hebrew letter that's purple.
Oh, the letter Kaf.
Is that to
So
hold?
Grasping
Kaf,
hand.
Grasp.
yes, the grasping hand.
Hmm.
It's the intelligence that rewards those who seek, the rewarding intelligence. It's if you make your hand into we call it a cough, you can see the shape of cough on the side. But it's that which grasps. And what's being grasped is the consciousness. Sometimes the world key is associated with what's called cosmic consciousness, which
That's
is
interesting.
a very, yes, it is, isn't it? It's a very cool saying and an exponentially cooler experience,
Hmm.
but it's basically what it says. It's where one starts to remember the being that one is so much more vast than the stories that we tell about the self. And
And
that's yeah.
I was just going to say, Tav around the suspended man, which comes down from the world key, is necessary for us to go through the transformation and become the suspended man. It's like it's right underneath of it, but isn't it
Yes.
like Tav
That's
is around the suspended man, which means that the world is necessary for the alchemy of ourselves to become illuminated, or you know um
beautiful. Yes. Excellent,
Hmm.
Rachel. That's what you just said is exactly what the Kabbalah teaches as self. Is that the constriction of the infinite being into its finite forms that we experience and evolve through is a necessary step of our own of its own and our own evolution. Now, I mean, it's as good as anything I've heard or know.
if we're going to evolve, we have to do it in this on the world, in the world.
Oh, yes,
As Mark
100%. Yes, we do our work here.
yeah,
A lot of people, it's an unfortunate thing, and I don't know, I'm not a scholar. I don't know when this belief system became so prevalent in the world, but the Kabbalah teaches, and the Western mystery tradition teaches, says, by all means, do our spiritual work right here while we're incarnate. Don't wait till you're disincarnate, because
yeah, but then
what you're going to have is what you have now. Only you're not going to have the physical body to work through. So they're very adamant about that we do as much work here as we can, because these are where the most gains can be made, not just for us personally in our own soul, but for the whole, for all. That's a very good point, and thank you for bringing that up.
I see the numbers. You have 21 for the world. So creation going into duality. And in the suspended man, you have duality returning to the creator. And it's expressed in the cards. In the world, the figure is in the mind, which is the water, in which all things dissolve and are dissolved, moving into manifestation, which is why the three animals and the human form are behind clouds, because they're not manifest yet. They're moving in that direction. Just like we would see on other cards where the archangel is where the clouds are, so you can't see it. Whereas in the suspended man, so they're the reverse. The suspended man is duality returning to the oneness in the world. So they are complements of each other, and that's why they'd be at the center of the cube. You have activity red on the suspended man in a state of presence. So it's returned. Actively in presence, which is a really cool feeling.
Yes, that's so well said.
And then,
good.
Yeah, and in the
Please.
world, you have the expression of pre-manifestation and where it's going. And it's just the blue is the blue is the mind. So everything dissolves in it and everything comes out from it and everything is cleaned by it. In the suspended man, you have the cross on the blue. Fire, air, earth, and water, plus the feminine. 10 spheres on the suspended man. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So you have the tree of life with the 10 spheres and the expression of water, of course, with the moons. But that is active presence, actively being in the presence. It is the most startling experience and very endearing. So you have both going on here in the center of the cube. Comings and goings, as one would say. Ever evolving, never being in the same place twice. But these are the points of entering and exiting. I'm getting, if you get these two down, it'll be a very pleasant journey as we learn.
Thank you, Mariah. That's beautifully expressed. I don't think I've ever heard these two keys put into that exact expression, but it's so well said.
Very clear. It was
very clear.
Wonderful. Yeah.
And it really presences what you're saying. So thank you.
When you have that, you enter the world, you're in both places.
Yeah.
They blend together. Oh my, who would think? Well, material and spiritual are not separate. But the experience of that? The mind cannot conceive. But it is really cool.
Very cool. And that's a perfect note to stop on this. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
We're going to move forwards here. So, thank you for your brilliant insights and sharing your light. Two letters here, as we said, are the center of the cube space. They are the letter Tov and Mem. They form the Hebrew word tam, which means pure. And they also spell the word tum, which means wholeness, perfection, and completeness, which speaks again to the presence that Margot's referencing between the spiritual and the material, right? There's no separation. Can someone state the number 10 truth about the self? Anyone?
The kingdom of spirit is embodied in my flesh.
Perfect. Thank you. So these two keys, if you haven't, print them off and keep them and make time to study and to just stare at these two keys together. It's a wonderful and powerful practice, and you will not be disappointed. Okay. Just a few other things here. Final mem we see is at the apex or the peak of the foundational pyramid of the cube of space. The below, right, is the high priestess, the prima materia, and this is the pyramid at the foundation of the cube. Think about that this week. And in the 3x7 layout, just want to point something out. Does anyone recall where mem, what the key above mem on the 3x7 layout? Do you know? It's okay if you don't, but if you do,
Temperance.
okay. In the 3x7 layout above mem, it's on the fifth column because we go 1 through 7, then 8 through, yeah, 8 through 14.
I see what you're doing. The teacher.
Yes, perfect. Thank you, Mariah. It is the teacher key. Now, remember, this is one layout for the whole book of wisdom. Now, note what's below the suspended man. What key?
Sun.
The sun.
The sun. So the suspended man, mem, and final mem connect the teacher and the sun. Okay? I'm going to say that again. It connects the teacher and the sun. This points to what it is that we are surrendering to. So as you meditate on suspended man this week in your core practice, and every time you think about it this week, make it your practice to listen. Ask your question, whatever it is, and then listen until you hear. When you receive, act on what you receive. Then more is given. And this is the way. Don't doubt when you hear or receive, because you will recognize the voice, the still small voice within. It is always, always recognizable when we choose to receive. So here's just one more view from looking from the above to the below inside of the cube, where we see the 5 finals and the final letter mem in the center at the apex of the pyramid. Your core practice this week, you're going to use the suspended man. Okay? Remember to make your intention to wake up in your dreams. Ask self to show you what it wills to show you. And trust more deeply in yourself. There's something, almost all of us have something that is our challenge or our our point where we just need to just let go a little more in trusting the self. Trust more in that, in the self, not in anything else. This week, if you want to alternate your core practice each night, you can use this image of final mem and the tattva of water, if you like. I want to thank you all so very much for sharing your being, presence, and light with the whole class and countless others. It's an honor to share in this work with each of you. This concludes this study on lucid dreaming in the cube of space, the alchemical Cabala. Please know this is just the beginning. The work you've done here will continue to grow and bear good fruit. And I just want to say and wish blessings of real love and real peace and real joy to all here and all who would receive. The floor is now open for any questions or comments.